Welcome back to Tutorial Tuesday. Today we're talking about editing guitars. Now I know a lot of people like to hate on Logic's audio editing capabilities, but while it's not as fleshed out as Pro Tools, for example, it still has a lot of good editing capabilities. So let me show you how I edit my guitars. I'm sure there are other effective methods for this, but this is just the way that I've done it, the way that I'm comfortable with. I have a pretty simple riff here that I recorded to use as an example for today. Here's what it sounds like. Now I am editing DIs, I'm not editing a processed signal. The waveforms will look way different if you're editing a signal that's already been processed, say recording from a guitar cab, if you mic'd up a guitar cab and you're editing something like that, or if you're recording from an Axe-Fx or a modeler, anything like that, where it's printing the tone directly on the audio and the audio is being recorded into your interface already processed. So we're using DIs. DIs are really great for editing. The waveforms are really pokey and you can get the transient really easily on DIs. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this over so we can get an A/B comparison later. Now, a few things to cover before we start actually editing. Make sure your drag setting up here is set to no overlap. That way, when you drag regions on top of other regions, it replaces the region that was underneath it. So some shortcuts that I set up that are really helpful for this that I have in my custom key commands are Command D, which is detect transients of an audio file, Shift A, which is slice at transient markers, and Q, which is quantize selected regions / cells / events. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is double click on the region that I want to edit, and then make sure we're in the file window down here. Sometimes it'll open up on track by default, but you want to be in the file window. And while I'm in the file window, I'm going to hit Command D, which is detect transients. And these orange dotted lines that came up are my transient markers. That's where Logic automatically detected the transients of this audio file. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to remove any transient markers that don't belong. This is something that takes a little bit of practice. I do have a lot of experience with guitar DIs and knowing what a guitar DI waveform looks like. So I can tell by looking at it which transient markers I need to remove. This one right here doesn't look like it's on the beginning of a note. Neither does this one. This one looks like we can remove it, and the rest of it looks good. So since I have this riff double tracked for the rhythm guitars, I'm going to move over to my right rhythm track and also detect the transients on this file. All right, let's go through here, see if I see anything. Yeah. Get rid of that one. Get rid of that one as well. Get rid of that one. Get rid of that one. Get rid of that one and get rid of that one. Okay, that looks good to me. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight both guitar tracks that I just detected the transients for, and then hit my Shift A key command, which is slice at transient markers. And then it cuts my regions at every detected transient marker. Now, a lot of the time what happens is you have these really, really small regions right at the beginning. And then sometimes if I missed a transient marker that I should have removed, it'll make a small region somewhere in between notes. I'm just gonna skim through and look for that. Looks like I forgot to remove one here, so I'll get rid of that at the end. Then I'm going to go over to my event window, and then I'm going to set my quantize to 16th notes. Now, of course, that's going to change depending on the song, depending on the riff. I just know that this riff specifically, I can quantize by 16th notes. Now, I didn't need to use my quantize shortcut there because when I went to the event window and then I clicked on quantize by 16th note, it went ahead and quantized those audio regions that I had selected. Now, when you quantize audio regions, it's always going to quantize it by the beginning of the region. Also, you can see here there is some overlap. Overlap does happen even though the drag setting is set to no overlap. But what we want to do now is highlight all of this again, go up to snap, set it to samples so we can do it super smoothly. And then I'm going to pull back on all of these regions. Now I only pulled back a little bit, but now I'm going to go through and find the remaining gaps and pull those back as well. I want all of the regions to be touching each other so that there are no moments of silence. It doesn't sound glitchy. Okay, there we go. And then at the end, I'm just going to pull these back to where the waveforms stop so I can get a more natural sounding cutoff at the end. That's just where I muted the guitar after playing. So you'll notice that these aren't exactly 100% perfect on every note. That's because sometimes Logic will detect the transient as the pick attack, or it'll detect the transient as the moment where the pick leaves the guitar string and plucks the actual note. Those will happen at 2 different times. You can see it in the waveform, pick attack and the pluck. So let's zoom in here. This spot right here, that looks like pick attack. And right here where it gets really big and starts to ring out, this looks like where the note's plucked. So this is pick attack. That's where the note's plucked. Sometimes Logic will grab the pick attack and sometimes Logic will grab the pluck. If I wanted to get really, really perfect with it, I could go through when I was detecting my transients and move each transient marker to either the pick attack or the pluck, depending on what I wanted. Personally, I don't mind if it's just a tiny, tiny bit off. You can see this note right here is the pick attack, and here's the pick attack. They're not happening at the exact same time. In my opinion, that's okay. That's just a stylistic preference. I don't want it to be exactly 100% quantized. I still want to leave a little bit of that human feel in there. But if you do want it to be perfectly quantized 100% to the grid, you can go through and push the transient markers around to hit either the pick attack or the pluck. There we go. The guitars are edited. Last thing I'm going to do is highlight all of my regions. Then I'm going to go over to my region window over here on the left. And I'm going to do a 1 millisecond fade in and 1 millisecond fade out. All right, now we're just going to listen through. We're going to make sure it sounds accurate and that no weird edits or weird audio artifacts or anything are happening. Sounds sick. Now, I mentioned this in a Thick Riff Thursday episode last week, but sometimes what I like to do is scoot the audio over just a little bit, and it can make it feel like it's a little bit behind the beat. It can feel a little bit more pocketed, a little bit groovier. I think it just feels better sometimes. So let's do that and see how it sounds. Yeah, I think that feels a little better. I'm hearing a little bit of a weird thing going on here in these chugs. Yeah, this feels like it's a little bit early. So you can see this pick attack is quite a bit early from this 16th note, and it's not quite synced up with the other guitar track. So let's move both of these around a little bit. Try to sync them up a little better. Okay, let's check that out. Yeah, that sounds a lot better. All right, let's do a quick comparison between the unedited version and the edited version. And there we go. That's how I edit my guitars. That's my favorite way to do it as of right now. If you have another way to do it in Logic, let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to hear your methods. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time. Peace.